Hello! So now I am going to talk about the hidden truth, if you like, about veneers on your teeth. Now if you've looked at my videos over the years, you'll see that I've got a partial denture here. So I'm going to tell you the story of how I ended up with it and tell you about the veneers that I've got as well. So we're going back many years ago. When I was growing up, I've always had like a small jaw, a small mouth. Although you wouldn't know by what comes out of it. But I had crooked teeth. So these two teeth that were there were over the front teeth. So they were like Dracula teeth. They were fangs. And I didn't like them. And I remember going to the dentist a few times when I was growing up. And they never did nothing with them because they were healthy. And I was on NHS. And they said there's nothing wrong with them. We're not going to touch teeth that are healthy. So I had to just live with it. And then when I was in my early 30s, I got a new dentist. And I think he was Bulgarian or something like that. And he was a really nice guy. And he said, "What do you think about these teeth?" And I said, I don't like them. And he went, "Well, do you want me to straighten them up for you?" And I went, "I've already been to 2 orthodontists and both of them said they couldn't do it because it was too much of a big job." And he just started laughing. But this was when veneers were coming into fashion. And when I'd gone to the orthodontist prior to that, they didn't have veneers. So what they suggested is taking my 2 front teeth out and putting a brace on so that the 2 fangs would become my front teeth. But I would have had a gap in the middle and they would have been sharp teeth like this, and they would have looked awful. So I said no. So this dentist said, what I can do is take the 2 fangs out, and then the 4 front teeth that are remaining, what I'm going to do is put some veneers on. And the 2 front teeth there will be made slightly wider to close the gaps in. So you'll have 4 straight teeth. Well, I couldn't even believe that was possible because we're going back 20 odd years ago. But he did it and I had to pay, and I got a loan out, and I think it was something like £1,200 to do it. It was something like that. And it was a lot of money for me at the time, and I had to do a loan. But when he showed me my teeth, I was nearly crying because they just looked so nice. And I had 4 beautiful straight teeth, and they looked great. Now what happened, a few months in, I started to get pain above that tooth, and it was going up into here near my nose, and it turned into a lump, and I got an infection. And I think when he put the veneers on, he didn't clean one of the teeth properly, so it probably had bacteria on it. Now when you put veneers on the teeth, they don't get removed until your teeth are taken out or filled or whatever. So they couldn't see the... I wondered what... Sorry, there's a bee. Oh baby, going outside. There was a bumblebee on my door. It's nice to see him. It's not often we see bees. So yeah, so underneath the veneer, the tooth was decaying, and nobody knew because behind the tooth at the back there was no sign of decay, and so it wasn't noticed. And over the years that tooth was rotting behind the veneer to such a degree that this infection became really severe because it was permanent and they couldn't find out where it was coming from. So long story short, I went back to the dentist one day and they did a proper full scan and they saw decay behind the veneer, so they had to take my tooth out. Over time it happened with the other tooth as well, so I lost 2 teeth due to that, and it was decay behind the veneer that couldn't be seen from the back of the tooth, and so I ended up with partial dentures. I'm seeing loads and loads of young people deliberately getting lovely teeth filed down and then going to places like Turkey and getting all these veneers on without realising what happens. When you file the tooth down as well, you're taking off the protection, which is the enamel, and some of it's going through near to the dentin, and then they put in plastic over the top, and over time these veneers can crack as well, and you can get little tiny cracks in them, and then the bacteria goes into them, into the tooth, but it's not picked up until the tooth is really decayed, which is not good. So you need to be careful if you're going for veneers, because they're not permanent. It's like, do you remember in 80s, 90s when women start to get all these boob jobs? And I've only ever known one woman have them, because we come from a poor place, and she thought they were forever, and they're not. Veneers, all plastic surgery, whether it be dental or otherwise, is not permanent for the rest of your life. It's got a time limit on it. So I am really surprised I've still got 2 veneers left on my teeth, because they were done when I was about 34, 35 years old, so it's like 20 years ago. So they've lasted longer than they should have done. But once they're off, not everybody can get them done again on NHS, so you have to pay to get them fixed. Some dentists will do it, but you'll only get the cheap stuff and a quick fix type stuff. But if you've got partial dentures, oh, this is another thing as well. You know, when they make the dentures now, they used to do impressions with putty, and then they would go to the lab and they would make the teeth from the impression. Now, the dentist that I went to last time just did a scan of the face, like a 3D scan of the teeth, and then they make the teeth just from the scan, so you don't have those impressions anymore. So what they do is they keep a copy of the digital photo, if you like, of the scan. So if it breaks, you can just phone up the dentist and say, can you make me another one? And if your teeth are still in the same position as there was last time you got one done, they will literally just remake you another one. I got these done end of last year. I think it was October, November. I went to the dentist the other day and said, is there any chance I can have another copy made of these, so I've got a backup in case they snap, because I've got a bite and I'm always breaking my teeth. And they went, yeah, it's not a problem at all, you can reorder another one. Now, I got the first one done on the NHS, and I have to pay, but you still get a discount. So I paid something like £75 or £80 for the partial denture. I said, how much will it be for this one? And she said, £660. And I went, no, it's all right. So I didn't get one done. But it just shows you, doesn't it? The NHS can cover you for X amount, but within, is it a year or 2, you can only have X amount of money on your teeth. So if that snaps within next year or 2, I have to buy another one for £660. But what I'm going to do is go to the other dentist and have an impression done and have another one made for 60 odd quid on the NHS, because I know how to play them. You've got to have 2 dentists. But anyway, there you go. So have you got partial dentures or full dentures and stuff? Do you have problems with yours? What about the veneers? Because, like I said, they're permanent. They're stuck onto your teeth with glue, basically. And if there's any tiny bit of bacteria in that, or on your tooth when they put them on, it just grows behind the plastic. So just be careful if you get any done. Make sure that they do a proper deep clean of your teeth before they put that stuff on, because you don't know what's going on behind it. Anyway, I'm going to go. Bye bye.